Hey rail fans and model railroaders, welcome back to another episode in our build series at Getting Back on Track with Steve.
And Roxy. Last episode, we laid down our Cork roadbed and we managed to get 29 feet on the upper elevations.
Now, we need to sand our Cork flat, smooth out our edges, and get our switches and turnouts positioned so we can finally lay down some track.
So follow along with us as we learn some new skills and let's get this work done.
We're going to begin working the area above the peninsula, and with our stout bench work, we can climb up on top of it to reach that area. First, we needed to clean and sweep the phone surfaces. Once clean, we can apply a bead of glue and brush it out along the track line, and then carefully place our cork strip, pinning it into place. I'm placing pins every couple of inches to try and keep the cork fairly flat as the glue dries. Once the feeder line is in place, we can repeat the process on the outer main line. And now we're going to add the cork through the switch location and then on around the corner. Now we can add more cork on the feeder line, and we can cut the cork to fit into the switch location. Then once it's all pinned, we can fill any small gaps with other pieces of cork. Now onto the sanding. I'm using a scrap of 1x4 board and 220 grit sandpaper to get a nice even surface along the track. Next, I'll use a drywall sanding sponge, and I can detail the switch area and the edges of the cork track. The sponge seems to work pretty well for these edges. Now with the sanding done, we can reposition the switches over by the swing bridge and determine the cuts that we need to make on the flux track. Here I'll make the cuts, and then I'm going to remove some of the ties to make it easier to use the joiners with the switches fixed into place. To make sure the rails sit straight, I went ahead and cut a piece of MDF to fit between the rails and use as a guide. This seemed to work pretty well, and we're using some T-pins as well as our thumbtacks to kind of put us into a position. Next step, I'm going to find my locations to put my feeder wires and drill a hole down through the bench work. Then we'll clean everything up, get it all unpinned, and then when we're satisfied with everything, we're going to apply our latex caulk and spread a nice thin layer. So I planned on gluing the track down and then coming back later to glue down the turnouts. I feel that if I remove some ties and make sure that I can slide my rail joiners back and forth, I can easily slide the rail joiners over and lift the turnouts right on up so I can later solder on my feeder jumpers and get everything positioned and set for tortoise switches. So here we're using that guide, and that really helped to make a nice straight track. We fit our switches back in and clean them up a little bit of the excess, and we're looking pretty good. Everything's fitting up real nice. Using lots of tacks, it should be good and flat. We're pretty happy. So there you go. We sanded all of the Cork roadbed, smoothed out the edges. We're really pretty happy with the results.
We were able to position our switches near the swing bridge and lay some track to connect them.
So cutting that track for the first time was really stressful, but we did manage to get it done and avoid some costly mistakes, because that flex track's not cheap.
So going forward, we're going to lay more Cork roadbed and some track to try to get around to the falls area on our layout.
So make sure to hit like and subscribe and leave us some comments to let us know how we're doing, or if you think there's something we could do better. We appreciate all those comments. So in the meantime, have fun running your trains, working on your layouts, and we'll see you next time on Getting Back on Track with Steve.
And Roxy. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, rail fans and model railroaders.
So you go.
Hey, model Hey, rail fans.
There you go.
Hey, rail fans and model railroaders. Welcome to another episode of Getting Back on Track with Jake and Roxy.
What the heck's going on in here?